While different people, nation, or culture may have competing beliefs and feelings, they cannot possess contrary truths because they all share a universal reality. Anyone who rejects universalism rejects truth. So, truth is constant, just like everybody breathe. Everybody go to sleep when they're tired. Everybody eats. Now that is truth. Now truth, we might have a different feelings or share different knowledge, different idea, different belief system. Now that doesn't truly represent truth. If it is true that good food, balanced diet promotes good health and then physical well-being, then it's also important to also say that good information promotes mental well-being and then mind well-being, social well-being, and the societal well-being. And that is why my today topic is going to center on information. Information. What is the importance of information? How does it shape reality, environment? How does it shape our world? What are the impacts of the information we have been receiving so far from every channel? Now, that is what we are going to talk today. But before we go further, let's look at the importance of information. Let's look at the positive aspect of information. What is information? How does it affect us? How does it affect us? So, reading from Google, a simple Google search tells us what information is. I'm going to give few examples from Google. It says, and I quote, enhancing memory. Good information aids in the retention and recall of knowledge, making it easier to remember and apply in various contexts. Number two, improving problem solving. Information provides the necessary data and context to solve problems effectively, leading to better decision making. Third example, strengthening attention. Reading and engaging with information can help in improve attention span and focus, which are critical for which are crucial for sustained cognitive effort. I'll tell that again. Strengthening attention. Reading and engaging with information can help improve attention span and focus, which are crucial for sustained cognitive effort. Promoting creativity. Information encourages the development of new ideas and creative thinking by providing a foundation for exploration and innovation. Now, those are the few importance of information. But I'd like us to dive deeper to understand what truly information is and how it impacts us. Because as merely as it sounds, information is the foundation or the building block of every society. And that is why we spend most of our time, at least in place of gathering, place of worship, in schools, in rally, just to share information. And then whether the information we have gathered so far has been good or bad, I think by merely looking at our environment, we state the results of how far or how good, how bad our information has been. So let's dive deeper. But I'd like to quote an Igbo adage that say that no atọrọ mara mara na-atụkwa n'ofike ofe isi n'ọfịa maka na ofike amarọ mgbe e kere nkụ ụkwa. So we'd like to know, and that is why we are here. And then to do that, we dive deep. Let's learn. And then in doing so, we'll read from this book, Nexus. Nexus by Yuval Noah Harari. That's the name of the book. I think some of you might have come across the book, but let me just quote a few paragraphs, from this book to highlight or underscore or, you know, to get what his view on information is. So I read, when we look at the history of information from the Stone Age to the Silicon Age, we therefore see a constant rise in connectivity without a constant rise in truthfulness or wisdom. Contrary to the naive view belief, contrary to the naive view beliefs, Homo sapiens didn't conquer the world because we are talented at turning information into an accurate map of reality. Rather, the secret of our success is that we are talented at using information to connect lots of individuals. Unfortunately, this ability often goes hand in hand with believing in lies, errors, and fantasies. I'll go again. When we look at the history of information from the Stone Age to the Silicon Age, we therefore see a constant rise in connectivity without a constant rise in truthfulness or wisdom. Contrary to the contrary to what the naive view believes, Homo sapiens didn't conquer the world because we are talented at turning information into an accurate map of reality. Rather, the secret of our success is that we are talented at using information to connect lots of individuals. Unfortunately, this ability often goes hand in hand with believing in lies, errors, and fantasies. So, basically, what this paragraph is trying to say is that though we might get information, we might share information on a daily basis with a faster speed, those information doesn't necessarily translate to truth or any advantage that will impact our society positively. Now, that you go to a place of gathering to share information doesn't necessarily mean that that information is going to translate itself in a positive way on the general environment. But it didn't end there. So I'll go further. Now, because we have come to what is truth in as it relates to information. What is truth? What is information? How do we, compare the both? How do we make a balance? How do we create a balance? It says that this is page 7. What is truth? I put, while different people, nation, or culture may have competing beliefs and feelings, they cannot possess contrary truths because they all share a universal reality. Anyone who rejects universalism rejects truth. So, truth is constant, just like everybody breathe. Everybody go to sleep. When they're tired, everybody eats. Now, that is truth. Now, truth, we might have a different feelings or share different knowledge, different idea, different belief system. Now, that doesn't truly represent truth. It's just an emotion. And because emotions are easy to manipulate, people can bank on your emotion and feed you up with information that are not necessarily truth. Because as long as we are concerned, truth are things that everybody share. Truth is universal. The truth is that the sun shines every morning and it shines on all man. So, how do we know which information to take and which information to discard? The simple way to know if an information is good for you or if it's bad for you collectively is to look at our environment. I'll say that again. I mean, if you take a simple, background check of our environment, just walk outside, from the pollution to the environmental hazard, we can easily say that I think the collective information that we have been gathering has not been effective. Maybe something need to give. And it's either we change our source of information or we question them. And then some people say that oh, it's the leaders that will have to determine what happens in the society. That me, what is my own? But I will say to you that maybe what if the leaders are just there to maintain the status quo? What if they are just there, to put, to just maintain the system? They are never there to change anything. Then the question now boils back down to you. I think you are the best person to make an impact, to make a change in yourself. Because after much more, they say that change begins with you. Change begins with us. They say each one give one. If you change, it can have a ripple impact on the society. It can spread. It can go from one person to another. So my point or my message for you today is that you not only have to gather information. I think you should try as much as possible to filter your information. Know the one that are working and the one that are not working. From the place of school, because as long as we are concerned, the information differs. It's not the same information that we are being fed back home that other people in other background or society are consuming. They might come from the same source, but they can be dissipated in different shape, way, and form. And then some people can be banking on those information, on those emotion that strive or comes out of those information they are sharing. Some people can be making money, harvesting from the energy, harvesting the resources just by giving you an information. And then we don't need to go, I mean, thousands of years back, to know if all these things I'm saying are truth. We only just need to look back 70 years ago, you know, 80 years ago, during colonialism. I think information was used against us truly. Just like when they translated all the religious texts to our native language without translating the scientific text, the textbook, they didn't translate none of them. Why? Because they know that information, if we have key knowledge of those information that are in the scientific book, in the textbook, we can be able to decipher them. We can be able to understand them better, but they don't want us to understand them better. Rather, they choose a certain kind of knowledge that they want us to understand better and they translated them. So it's high time we begin to add, one plus one to know actually what is true and what is not true. So that we don't just, swallow everything, hook, line, and sinker, and then just run with them. Information is power. Information is key. But we have to ask, what are the sources of the information? Where do we get our information from? What is working and what is not working? What needs to change? What needs to give? How do we build a better community? The place we are getting information so far, have they been beneficial or are they just there to harvest from our resources? Your time is resource. Your time is a resource. I think your time, your attention is greater resource that you can ever possess. And then you should choose wisely who you give your time and your attention to. Are you investing it in the things that will help, build the general society? Or are you investing it in the same old pattern, old repeated ways? And then you come back just to do that again. I think it's high time we begin to, think of way forward. So many people did it. Vietnam did it, China did it. We can do that too. So this is my message for you. Get information, but question them. Know what is working and what is not working. Not everybody deserves your attention. Your time is precious. And then the better you manage it, the better it's going to be for everybody, even you, me, and, you know, the common good of the society. So with me, from here, I remain Armstrong Ogomeg, Ogochukwumba. And see you on the next one. Do well to like my video, follow, and if you're on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. And I see you on the next one. Bye.